This is what I'm talking about, guys. Tommy Nation Politics.
I love our country. It's why I enlisted after 9/11. Why I've served as a soldier for over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East, and serve in Congress now for almost 7 years.
This is also why it makes me so furious, truly furious, when we, as the most prosperous nation in history, responsible for 25% of the world's GDP, have leaders that look us straight in the eye and tell us there's just not enough money for better healthcare. There's just no money to make sure that our teachers are paid properly. There's just no money to invest in protecting our environment and making sure that we have clean water to drink and clean air to breathe. And this makes me so angry because it is all a lie. Both parties have been reckless in allowing our debt to reach what it is now. But why I know that this is all a lie is because every month, every single month, this country is spending $4 billion on a war in Afghanistan. A war that was started in 2001, and by the end of this year, almost 20 years later, we will have spent roughly $1 trillion of our hard-earned taxpayer dollars on this wasteful, counterproductive war that's achieved nothing and has undermined our national security with no end in sight. So let me ask you this: how have the lives of the American people been improved by this war? Our wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and Syria have cost we, the taxpayers, over $6 trillion. Why is nobody talking about this? Why have I been repeatedly attacked for sounding this alarm and calling for an end to these stupid wars?
Now to an extraordinary development in the presidential campaign. Hillary Clinton, the 2016 nominee, called Tulsi Gabbard, one of the current candidates, quote, the favorite of the Russians. Nancy Cordes is following this. And Nancy, what are we to make about all this?
Well, Nora, Hillary Clinton did not mention Tulsi Gabbard by name, but an aide confirms that that's who she was talking about when she made this stunning claim that the Russians had already hit on a way to meddle in the 2020 election, much in the same way they meddled in her election in 2016. On a podcast interview, Clinton said, quote, they're grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. Clinton was referring to the fact that the Hawaii Congresswoman gets a lot of attention from Kremlin-linked media, just as Green Party candidate Jill Stein did back in 2016. This afternoon, Gabbard lashed back, accusing Clinton of trying to destroy her reputation and calling Clinton, quote, the queen of warmongers, embodiment of corruption, and personification of the rot that has sickened the Democratic Party for so long.
As your president and commander-in-chief, I will end this policy that wastes trillions of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars while making us less safe. I know the cost of war firsthand. I'll make sure every single one of our veterans is treated with the care and respect that they have earned through their great service and sacrifice. As an American who loves the ideals enshrined in our Constitution and Bill of Rights, I will fight to protect every single one of these rights and freedoms that we all hold so dear.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics. Free thinking, innovative, and totally open-minded.
Hey guys.
Tommy Nation Politics.
It's not Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics right now. It's actually just Thomas, who's trying to explain to his friends a few things about Tulsi Gabbard. Now, how did this Tulsi Gabbard smearing start in the first place?
Tulsi Gabbard, Congresswoman from Hawaii, Democratic National Committee Vice Chair, has been at odds with her boss, DNC Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz, for months over the Democratic presidential debate schedule. Congresswoman, you're here because you have an announcement to make regarding your position at the DNC. Tell us.
Well, first of all, I am resigning from the DNC so that I can support Bernie Sanders for president. I'd like to tell you why. As a veteran and as a soldier, I've seen firsthand the true cost of war. I served in a medical unit during my first deployment, where every single day I saw firsthand the very high human cost of that war. I see it in my friends who now, a decade after we've come home, are still struggling to get out of a black hole. I think it's most important for us as we look at our choices as to who our next commander-in-chief will be is to recognize the necessity to have a commander-in-chief who has foresight, who exercises good judgment, who looks beyond the consequences, who looks at the consequences of the actions that they are looking to take before they take those actions so that we don't continue to find ourselves in these failures that have resulted in chaos in the Middle East and so much loss of life.
But it was just a month ago, and this was sort of got us curious about. A month ago, you said you think the next commander-in-chief needs to have a, quote, military mindset. You said this during an interview on Fox News. Does Senator Sanders have a military mindset?
From what I've seen, from talking with him and from his record, he does. And what that military mindset means is you go through an analysis process as you're looking at potential courses of action that you're going to take and how and when we use our military power. And just as importantly, when we don't use that military power, that military mindset says you have foresight. You look at what are the results, what are the consequences of these actions, how will other actors in the area react to those actions, what will we then do? And you continue down the line so you know exactly what you're potentially getting yourself into before you make that decision that ends up costing us lives.
It was back in 2016 when Hillary Clinton was running for president, and Tulsi Gabbard, because Hillary Clinton's a horrible human being.
I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. And that's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
And a whole bunch of other reasons. Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton she just had to have it. It was her coronation time. And she smeared Bernie Sanders hardcore, right? So there was not a lot of courageous people that actually stood up for Bernie Sanders. Not a lot of people. Only Tulsi.
This has been one of the most frustrating things that I've seen and experienced throughout my over 6 years in Congress that really started like when I first went up after I got elected. Where after every election happens, the new members of Congress, they go and they have what's called new member orientation, and they give you these books, and here's the maps, and here's where your office is, and all the administrative and logistical stuff. But very quickly, I would say within the first few days, where we first come in together as Democrats and Republicans, immediately, okay, Democrats go this way, Republicans go this way, immediately separated. And what we're told right off the bat is, look, this is about getting wins for our political party. And if you work with a Republican, then that's going to hurt the party, especially if you work with a Republican that the Democratic Party is trying to take out. Forget the substance of the idea. Forget the substance of the bill. And this happens on the opposite side as well. Republicans with Democrats, both political parties are guilty of this, where they're really putting the interests of the political party ahead of the people who just voted for us to go and serve them. And not just the Democrats who voted for me, but yes, the independents and the Republicans, both who voted for me or who didn't, but who I serve as part of my constituency. And I've continued to see this where, you'll have a bill that because it's a Democrat bill, Republicans will vote against it, substance aside, or a Republican bill, Democrats will vote against it just because it's a Republican bill. But then, hey, if they come in and, a month or a year later introduce the same bill or a similar bill, but now because it's a Democratic bill, okay, everybody, hey, let's go and support this legislation. You can imagine why there is so much gridlock in Washington, why nothing really gets done, and ultimately how this divisiveness and this hyperpartisanship is hurting the ability for the needs of the American people to be served.
When you talk about people like yourself that are completely funded by the public, and you have this very logical and objective way of discussing this gridlock, do you think that the future is in young people like yourself getting involved in politics.
Only Tulsi and like one other person in the Green Party. The rest of them got smeared. Now, Tulsi was a shining light in the Democratic Party. Nancy Pelosi called her that. Hillary Clinton called her that before she endorsed Bernie Sanders. After she endorsed Bernie Sanders, they sent Tulsi this letter saying that you were being disrespectful to Hillary Clinton. How dare you? Which Tulsi kept the receipts of. Ever since then, she's been a Russian asset. She's been anti-gay. She's been this, she's been that. Never mind the fact that Hillary Clinton herself believed that marriage was between a man and a woman 4 years ago. Never mind that. But Tulsi Gabbard is now anti-gay because how dare she disrespected Hillary Clinton?
Who do you think can beat him?
That's a good question. I don't know. Hillary can't. I'm so worried.
Duh.
Yeah, but I'm so worried she's going to run again. She's going to muscle her way to the top.
I don't know who can beat him right now. And I don't know.
Why do you think that?
Right, and the question, right, is
as
like...
things keep going further and further south, what about someone who is a centrist Democrat? Doesn't that make more sense? That someone who's a rational person, who's on the right, who's going to look at this person who's maybe economically conservative but socially liberal and say, this is really where
unless
I'm
they
leaning
run
towards.
someone on the far left and like on an identity politics platform. That's what scares me.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Well, could it though? Because
I don't think so.
I don't know, because Trump's whole thing was, screw the center. I just need to make my base go apeshit crazy for me.
But they're still apeshit crazy, and no matter what he does.
I know, and I'm worried that the Democrats are going to try and replicate that strategy and be like, we just need to make our base go apeshit crazy, rather than running someone that can win the center.
I see where you're going, but I think that this is maybe my liberal bias, but I think that people on the left wouldn't fall for that the same way people on the right would. I don't think people on the left who saw someone who went apeshit, full woke, far left. I think there's a lot of people in the center who be like, "What? I'm just gonna vote libertarian, man. I'm gonna vote for Gary Johnson or some shit."
But okay, so who's in right now? So we have Kamala, Kirsten
Tulsi
Gillibrand.
Gabbard.
Oh, monstrous.
Monstrous?
Ideas.
Well, when she was 22, she had.
No, she's an Assad toady.
What does that mean?
She is
What's a toady?
I think that I used that word correctly. Jamie, can you check what toady means?
Like toeing the line? Is that what it means?
No, I think it's like a Toadie.
What does that mean?
I think it means what I think it means.
Toady. Definition of toadies. A person
A
who
sycophant,
flatters or defers to others
I
for
kinda used it right.
self-serving reasons.
A sycophant.
So she's an Assad sycophant. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's known about her.
Like, what did she say that
We have to look.
qualifies her?
I don't remember the details.
We
I've read
probably
it.
should say that before we say that about her. We should probably read it rather.
Well, I have read it.
No, I mean, we should right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Just so we know what she said.
Look up
I've had her
Tulsi
on
Gabbard.
here before.
Look
and
up
I really
Tul-
enjoyed talking to her. I like her a lot.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I like talking to her.
Okay,
I like
okay.
talking to her. I don't know about.
I think she's like the motherlode of bad ideas.
Whoa.
I'm pretty positive about that, especially on Assad. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong.
Well, my take on her was that I think as a person who's coming from the left, who's also a veteran and is very articulate and sensible and a woman, and in talking to her, we didn't get into Assad or any of those things, but talking to her about what she feels is wrong with the current administration and the way things are running and a direction she thinks things could go in. She had some very promising ideas. I didn't know about this.
But doesn't she also, did she ever apologize for believing in conversion therapy?
I didn't even know she believed in conversion therapy.
Am I crazy?
Is that real?
I'm almost positive this is real. I think her father ran
when you say conversion therapy, you're talking about gay people.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I didn't know that. I never heard that. I did hear something about when she was very young. She was like 22. She had said something about gay marriage and civil unions that she apologized for and said that she evolved. She reveals she met Assad in Syria without informing top Democrats.
I'm telling you, She
said she went on a fact-finding mission in support of peace for Syrian people, but characterized U.S.-backed rebels as terrorists.
Yeah, hold
I can keep looking, but I
I'm
don't
telling
have enough
you.
time to research everything all at the same time.
I can come back on when I know more.
Okay, but we can do this another time.
Ever since then, people like Barry Weiss from the Huffington Post and the New York Times all of a sudden say that she's an Assad apologist. Why? Because she went to Iraq to see, and she went to Iran, she went to Syria to see what we were doing. And you know what she found? That we were arming rebels in Syria. And that we did the chemical gas attacks ourselves. She unveiled our own military industrial complex. So then they had big gay, like the Advocate and the HuffPo, and all the big gay newspapers claimed that Tulsi Gabbard was gay because her parents were Republicans, which is why she's so middle stream. So they all claimed that she was fucking anti-gay. She actually looked inward at herself. She said to herself, maybe I am anti-gay. Maybe I am. But I relate with a lot with my parents' views. So then she apologized. She said a whole YouTube video about how she apologized.
Aloha. In my past, I said and believed things that were wrong. And worse, they were very hurtful to people in the LGBTQ community and to their loved ones. Many years ago, I apologized for my words and, more importantly, for the negative impact that they had. I sincerely repeat my apology today. I'm deeply sorry for having said them. My views have changed significantly since then, and my record in Congress over the last 6 years reflects what is in my heart: a strong and ongoing commitment to fighting for LGBTQ rights. Now, I know that LGBTQ people still struggle. They're still facing discrimination, still facing abuse, and still fear that hard-won rights are going to be taken away by people who hold views like I used to. That cannot happen, because every American deserves to be treated equally by their fellow Americans and under the law. I will continue to fight for LGBTQ people, whether they're in school, serving in uniform, trying to get health care, taking care of their family, or looking for a home. Now, I grew up knowing that every person is a child of God and equally loved by God. And I've always believed in the fundamental rights and equality of all people. But I also grew up in a socially conservative household, where I was raised to believe that marriage should only be between a man and a woman. So for a period of my life, I didn't see the contradiction in those beliefs. While many Americans may be able to relate to growing up in a conservative home, my story's a little different because my father was very outspoken. He was an activist who was fighting against gay rights and marriage equality in Hawaii. And at that time, I forcefully defended him and his cause. But over the years, as I grew up, I formed my own opinions based on my life experiences that significantly changed my views at a very personal level in truly having aloha, love for all people, and making sure that every American, regardless of sexual orientation, is treated equally under the law. I look forward to being able to share more of my story and my experiences growing up, not as an excuse, but in the hopes that it may inspire others to truly live aloha, to love and care for others. When we deny LGBT people the basic rights that exist for every American, we're denying their humanity, denying that they are equal. And we're also creating a dangerous environment that breeds discrimination and violence. Because when we divide people based on who they are or who they love, all we're doing is adding fuel to the flames that perpetuate bigotry and hatred. Now, I'm so grateful to my friends, my loved ones, both gay and straight, who have patiently helped me see how my past positions on these issues were at odds with my values, my aloha, and that they were causing people harm. I regret the role that I played in causing such pain, and I remain committed to fighting for LGBT equality.
And her record on gay rights has been spotless thereafter. So this whole thing started because Hillary Rodham Clinton decided she was going to smear Tulsi Gabbard after she endorsed Bernie Sanders. And all the mainstream media has gone after Tulsi Gabbard ever fucking since. Okay? She did not disrespect Hillary Clinton. This was not Hillary Clinton's office to take. And this is one of the reasons why, to my dying breath, I am glad Hillary Clinton never got the presidency. Fuck it. Donald Trump should have gotten it. I'm glad he did. Because if you only saw a tiny fraction of the lies and mainstream media propaganda that came out of Hillary Clinton's fucking administration when she was running, then you would know that she is a lying psychopath snake, and we would all have been smeared, Bernie Sanders included. And who got smeared on Howard Stern? Who got smeared on Howard Stern and said no one likes Bernie Sanders? So shut the fuck up about Tulsi Gabbard. You know nothing about her, and I will be damned if you put one true thing on my post about Tulsi Gabbard, because you can't find shit. Shit.
Okay, so just a fact, huh? Tulsi Gabbard's a Russian asset, and Jill Stein's a Russian asset. Alfred now Van Jones, host of the Van Jones Show. So that's how she puts it out there. I mean,
she's playing a very dangerous game. I mean, Hillary Clinton. If you're concerned about disinformation, if you're concerned, what the Russians do is they spread disinformation, they get us divided against each other. That is what just happened. Just throw out some information, disinformation, smear somebody. She is Hillary Clinton. She's a legend. She's going to be in the history books. She's a former nominee of our party, and she just came out against a sitting U.S. Congresswoman, a decorated war veteran, and somebody who's running for the nomination of our party with just a complete smear and no facts.
She called her a Russian asset as a fact, and as you point out, sitting U.S. Congresswoman.
A sitting U.S. Congresswoman. Now, this is a very, very dangerous game, and there's a backstory here. And there's two sides to every story. Let's not forget, Tulsi Gabbard was picked out by the Democratic Party establishment and put at the top of the DNC. They thought she was going to be their golden girl. And she got in that position, the DNC, and she looked around. She saw Debbie Wasserman Schultz and other people, Clinton allies, doing stuff they shouldn't have been doing in the primary. And Tulsi publicly quit and then endorsed Bernie Sanders. And it's been payback hell ever since.
And that's what we are here. But
payback hell ever
since. Gabbard's responded with a tweet storm. She says, "Thank you, Hillary Clinton. You, the queen of warmongers, embodiment of corruption and personification of the rot that has sickened the Democratic Party for so long, have finally come out from behind the curtain. From the day I announced my candidacy, there has been a concerted campaign to destroy my reputation. We wondered who was behind it and why. Now we know it was always you. Through your proxies and powerful allies in the corporate media and war machine, afraid of the threat I pose, it's now clear this primary is between you and me. Don't cowardly hide behind your proxies. Join the race directly."
Yeah, getting kind of hot. It's getting kind of hot, and this is.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today?